First, we have a moment of silence in remembrance of Diane Dennis, who passed away just a few days ago.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Lois Tiley.
Present.
Kathy Harris.
Present.
Michael Nesbitt.
Present.
Edgar Titoff.
Present.
Paul Jenderski.
Here.
Darcy McSwain.
Present.
And Jamie Kendall.
We have adjustments to the agenda.
I do. I'd like to eliminate letter E, old vehicles public auction, and replace it with chief church resignation.
We have a motion to approve the adjustments to the agenda.
So moved.
Support.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? We have any announcements, public comment?
Yeah, I'll step forward. I approached the planning, my name is James McPhail, I live on 317 South Saginaw. I approached the planning commission last month about a urban chicken ordinance. And I gave all the information I had. I was gonna present it to you, but it was directed to give it to them. I have information here, it's got all the facts on it if you would like that. It's got ways to make your coops, how to make them safe, how to keep them, wash your hands so you don't get diseases and keep everybody in the community safe. We're asking for 4 to 6 chickens, small coop in your backyard, actually a smaller area than you would put for a dog kennel. There's actually, if you read the, you're gonna have people that are probably gonna say things against it, but all the diseases are in there. There's more diseases you can get from cats and dogs. There's more fatalities and injuries from cats and dogs. Avian flu, hundreds of thousands of birds were killed last year in commercial aviaries. That's one farm, 1 million chickens in one farm. They had these problems all across the country. Since then, the CDC, Michigan State University Extension, University of Minnesota has an extension out on how to keep urban poultry, how to do it safely. And basically, it all boils down to one thing. What we've been doing for 4 years is wash your hands and stay clean. You touch it, you wash your hands. And who does it affect? Just like the COVID, just like the flu, just like everybody else, any disease, it's gonna affect the elderly, and it's gonna affect those under 5 years old. Two people died last year, 2 people died the year before, 2 people died of salmonella. This is all from backyard chickens the year before. More people have died from salmonella from touching commercial poultry than from urban. More people die from listeria on lettuce than from urban poultry. These are all in the CDC, my facts are in there. We're asking for 6 chickens. When we presented it to the planning commission, they had a great idea. Instead of creating an ordinance, just do it as a permit system. You pay $25, you treat it as a pet. If you get so many dings, so many complaints, legitimate complaints, you don't get renewed. It's easy, it's simple as.
Permit pulled, or you mean you don't get renewed?
Well, you have to pull a permit to get them.
Okay, well, I'm saying you're saying renewed, well, you don't have to renew it every year.
Well, it'd be well, it depends on how the council sees, but generally, it's a yearly permit.
It's a one-time permit.
Could do
Say
that,
if
it's
you
up to you.
screw it up, they
Yeah.
pull your permit, you're not allowed to have them.
Yeah, but this way we know who has them. I mean, right now, there's 5 people I know of in town that have chickens and nobody even knows. You know? I mean, they're here.
Is this just showing about them?
That's got everything you need to know.
I mean,
I've got links.
if they read it, maybe give them an idea of what should be done
Yeah.
to push this forward.
I've got that in there.
So it will be on the agenda next Thursday at 6 PM at the planning commission meeting. They were receptive, they really wanna do a month's worth of research.
Yeah.
And we will be discussing, or they will be discussing it next week.
Good.
And the thing about a permit, the thing that's nice about a permit system is that you know who has them, if there is a problem. See, Michigan is, we're not on the border, we're not on the oceans, we're not a port city. So whatever happens, if there's an avian flu outbreak, if there's a salmonella outbreak, if there's listeria, whatever it is, it's gonna happen other places first, and then they're gonna be sending out the warnings, hey, watch out, this is what to look for. Just like with everything else, COVID didn't hit us for 6 months until it hit everybody else. The swine flu, any of these, they never hit us until they hit everybody else first, and that's a fact, that's in the CDC too, you can look that up.
And what do we do with the money, the permit money?
Well, I would say you use that for Scott Crowfoot, since I would make him the guy that is going out and checking these. Check the lot, you know, where are you gonna put it? That's what the permit's for, check, where are you gonna put this? Are you gonna keep it within the, you know, do you have too much of your property covered? I know that's a big thing, green spaces. Is it too big? Is it not clean enough? And that's another thing I put in there. Anybody that gets the permit, just have them sign, they read the GAMPs. GAMPs, Generally Accepted Agricultural Practices, tells you how to keep animals, how to clean up after animals, how to keep everything safe. Make them read it. Have them sign the permit that says, I read that, I understand, I'm literate.
So they give them the $25, and then once they establish
Well,
the
the
parameters.
only reason
of
I'm
what you
saying
have,
use that
then-
for Scott
Then they
Crowfoot.
give them from the permit after they've set it up, is that how it's?
No,
works?
I'd send Scott out and say, hey, check it out. Do it right the first way around, because you're gonna have Mrs. Kravitz in the window looking out saying, hey, you know, they've got a chicken in their yard. And they're gonna call, and then they're gonna come out and say, yeah, they have chickens, they have a permit, you know?
So the base permitting example we're using is the city of Ann Arbor. They have a pretty good one that covers all the bases. And what was discussed last month was we want to limit nuisance to neighbors and neighborly, complications and fights. So that's kind of the base example. If you want to look it up, it's online, city of Ann Arbor, chicken permitting.
The one thing I disagree with, who was the guy that had brought the permit in?
That was our engineers from Grow.
Yeah, and he'll even admit, I asked him, the largest complaint is when you have to ask a neighbor for permission to have your poultry. That's where your biggest complaint on all of these cities, everywhere you look across the country.
Not as
Because
tight as a city, but yeah, I get it.
city, village, Chesaning has them, they don't even have ordinances, but they've had them for 20 years. When I called them, they said the biggest problem was that, this was 2 years ago, 2 weeks before that, chickens had got out and they used the police, everybody got together and rounded them up.
I think
Nobody
the
got
smell
a
of
ticket, nobody
Keeping the
complained.
coops clean probably be your next biggest issue.
Keeping them clean, and that's in
That's why
there.
you have a permit.
Yeah, that's all in there. There's ways to keep it clean. There's something called the deep litter method. Mine never smelled. I had them for 2.5 years in town, and nobody knew I had them. Nobody knew I had them. They didn't stink. There was not a single complaint. They never crowed at the sunshine because you didn't have roosters. It works. And if you read the paper, according to the USDA and FDA, it's actually increasing in cities across the country by something like 20% every year.
I think we've all got one, did you wanna hand a couple of them?
Well, I know
Some
eggs
do.
are expensive now.
Right?
Well, that's the main thing is eggs, but treat it like a pet. For me, it's a tool. For me, I don't really care. It's a tool.
Thank you,
I
Jim.
want the eggs, but they're gonna till my garden, they're gonna get rid of the weeds, they're gonna get my flower beds, and while they're tilling it up, they're gonna poop and fertilize it. It's a win-win for me.
And then we get eggs.
And then we get eggs to boot.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jeff.
All right.
Very good.
Thanks a lot, guys.
Yeah, thanks.
I don't think I love anything as much as Jim loves chicken.
Chicken.
Don't tell my wife I said.
Anybody else for public comment?
I'd like to introduce myself. Denny Harris, your new county commissioner. Want to come down and just kind of update you guys a little bit on what's going on with the county. Nothing good right now, but the animal shelter, they're about ready to open up. If you've been following Jeannie and the Citizens, she just put a nice little article in there Saturday, Sunday. We got a nice tour of that yesterday, very nice facility. They're looking at the April, possibly May, before they get that opened up, so. Other than that, the mosquito complex is having a few issues over there. We're in the process of buying Buena Vista schools, and they can't find the deed to it. When it was transferred, I think they said it was 1938 from a farmer right to the school system. No one registered the deed to it, so now that's being held up in court. So that's putting us behind. Well, then that's really about the only thing that affects us out in this area from the county. A lot of things are happening, but we'll try to keep you guys updated on that. And like I've been telling all the other townships, I can't make all these meetings like this. You guys got a very nice crowd, the most I've ever seen at any. But follow us on Facebook, Denny Harris, County Commissioner, and anything of any importance, we'll keep on our Facebook page. And that's about the best way we can think of keeping everyone updated.
Do you get into the Citizen or?
Yeah, yep, Jeannie's been helping us out pretty good, so, yep, so just follow that also.
Good.
And I'll give you guys my contact information at the end then, so. Any questions from me, any of you guys?
You related to the other Harrises?
Yep, well, my son was, Kyle was county commissioner.
We actually had a Denny Harris that lived on prior with us.
Okay, nope,
No relation.
no relation to them around there.
Steve Harris.
Okay, no, trust him, no relation. And Miss Harris over there, I see, no relation. So, you had a question though?
Just wanted to make sure that the problem with the mosquito control isn't gonna have anything to do with summer and our mosquito control. up
No, because when that made the ballot, that was very misleading. Everyone thought it was to renew the contract for the mosquito trucks. Had nothing to do with that. They were good till the end of this year anyways. That just had to put up a new complex, and no one knew that, unless you really got into reading that. Now everyone's surprised that after they passed it in the village, they had to do building a new little complex. So there's a lot of frustrated people about that, and I don't blame them, but I tell people, when you vote, you gotta know what you're voting for though. Just like Proposal 2, when that passed, that's causing a lot of problems. You guys' elections now went from probably $5,000 to $10,000 in elections, gonna cost you at least $30,000, if not more than that. It's gonna cost the county, well, the statewide elections used to cost $100 million. Now we're gonna be over $500 million for a statewide election. There's so much hidden stuff in those proposals, no one's checked into them. And it's gonna cause you guys a lot more problems during the elections too. So, but the county, no, it has nothing to do, mosquito trucks are gonna roll like they normally do.
We grow them big out here, that's why I wanted to make sure.
No, you're good to go.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks for attending. I
Yes,
appreciate it.
you're welcome, thank you.
Spicer Engineer Report.
Good evening. Quick update on the Phase 1 project. We had a good meeting today with county and bond council. Sounds like everything's moving forward on that end. Right now, they're gonna push out a schedule, hopefully this week. It sounded like Bobby was gonna get that pushed out, correct, Herb?
Yep, sounds like county needs to authorize it, and then it'll go to the Board of Commissioners, Mr. Harris, middle of May. Brian's gotta meet with, Robert Bellman to figure out everything. I think the county is AA- bond rating. Hoping to get their 22 financial audit, hopefully in the next couple of weeks, to kind of see where they are at financially, so that we can move forward. And then we'll go out to competitive bid, for interest rates, hopefully the last week of April.
Yep. End of April, it sounded like bond sale.
So hopefully we can get it approved by the Board of Commissioners middle May. Once the bonds are approved, the project's gonna happen. So I say we get shovels in the ground end of April, early May, because we have got a lot of leaks that need to be cleaned up. No use of doing it twice when you have the when you're bonding out for 20 years. This project should be paid for in 2042. We'll try to obviously make more money or more payments on top of it to try to cut it down, but this is a huge project. Yesterday was a reminder of why we need it. The hole on J Street looked like a swimming pool. If you had a liner, you could have put a diving board there. As DPW knows, they're out there till 11. But it's a good meeting. It's a lot of money. It's necessary. That's the bad part.
So as Hart stated, it'll probably May meeting officially award the project to Eric Construction, and then have everything in line so they can get started right away. I know I talked to Rob Saunders today from Eric, and probably gonna get a pre-construction meeting scheduled, and he's started on submittals already. So we wanna keep that moving forward, and like Hart said, tentative bond sale right now into April, but with it going to the county in May.
And so just, if the price lowers a little bit on as far as what we can afford or what they're allowing us to do, we're just gonna cut a little bit of scope, but we're still gonna move forward and get as much as we can.
What is our role in it as a village? I mean, there's the DPW and the maintenance people in town, what role do they have in it when Eric's doing their thing?
It's a great question. I think, if we help, we can cut some costs. I mean, we do have contingencies, we do have inspection fees, but it's one of those ways that if we can help them, we can keep some of those contingency monies. I think 7% contingency, about $207,000. So if we can keep that on top of the entire project, so we're not eating into that, especially with the inspection, I think that was $232,000. So if we can keep those numbers up by helping them and working with them, and hey, maybe we're going a little shallower here than 6 feet, we can go get it at 4. Let's do that. So they're there, kind of just institutional knowledge and where the line that we're not to hit and what we can afford to do. And
Maybe go a little faster?
well, we did hire a new DPW employee who has got 25 years experience with heavy equipment. He's good. He's good. So he could be potentially Tito's replacement on the big equipment if Tyler doesn't learn. I mean, he's trying hard though. Shots fired, just kidding.
So I think that, does anyone have any questions on the Phase 1 water system improvements project? I got the maps.
I was just gonna say,
I'll
I
leave
think you
those with
brought
Cart, there's a
some, I've been
large
asking for
copy
it for a
there.
while.
Got those on the,
Supplies, looking like, are we gonna be able to get supplies, like,
Yeah, did he already order?
We haven't ordered yet.
that's
because-
why,
okay,
I thought that's why the meeting, so you could get the green light to order everything, that's what the meeting was all about.
Well, this morning was a bond council to see what, to kind of get the county on board because Brian's got to go to the Board of Commissioners and make sure they're all good to go. They're gonna have to pass the resolution first, and then they have to have another meeting, and then they can go. A committee has to meet all the typical county business.
Mitch, what was Eric's bid amount?
just over 3.8 million. Drinking water asset management grant, we're moving forward on that. You'll see this map that I've got, that's kind of been a part of the grant. Again, working on the interior verifications, we'll have quite a few lead service replacements within the project. On the pump stations, Klein Electric has finished the Maple Street pump station, and they're now working on Walnut Street, getting the new electronics there, mission units for DPW to monitor those pump stations
That's getting a
remotely.
little crazy, man, that's up there, I mean, you're talking 11,000 for every month, you look at that, it seems, that pump station seems to be part of our biggest, part of our budget.
I think the bill from Klein was
Over
only
4,000.
4,500. We estimated at 8,000. I mean, they were $3,500 under what
Really?
we budgeted for that project. So I think we're doing okay in that sense. I know the Walnut Street pump station, there's a little bit more that went into it because we don't anticipate on doing an upgrade right away on that. So we added some additional sonar sensor and whatnot for level of the wet well. So that one's gonna be a little bit more expensive than Maple, but again, we don't anticipate on going back to that pump station as soon as we will be on Maple.
And I did apply for a congressional appropriation of $3 million to help fund the water system improvements grant contract on Friday. They called on Tuesday, Kildee's office, and said, hey, keep applying for other things. And so we're gonna look at applying for a boat launch, we're gonna look for equipment, we're gonna look for pump stations. There's a lot of grants this year that are gonna go for populations under 20,000, populations under 10,000, so we're gonna go after everything we can to try to get them to pay for it. You know, when they're passing $1.5 trillion appropriation bills and nobody's reading them, let's slip in 5 mil for St. Charles.
Let's say it's been 3 or 4 months after you put a grant in or whatever.
Yep.
How do you know where you stand on that after so long?
You keep calling, you keep calling, you keep begging. Even with
I mean, look on the category B.
the Category B
they said
grant,
that
they were
was,
2 months late on that.
Yeah.
And so we kept calling, keep calling, and that was like you filled that out in February, they're supposed to announce it on September, and we still didn't know, and
We
they
didn't
said, oh, we're working with the governor's communications team, because they like to do a feel-good story about where they're helping. And so we kept waiting, and we called everybody we could based on their hierarchy, thinking, hey, we're from St. Charles, have you heard anything? Trying to get insider information. We did have a little mole inside that said you guys are like, what were we, 13th out of 20 or something?
Yeah.
So we think they're in the fundable range, because they only have allotted like $31.5 million allotted or something. So you keep calling. For instance, that grant I applied for to clean up the river that we were discussing, they replied back in the email this morning and said, early June, end of May, we should find out. So that's pretty soon. If you think about to become a Tree City USA, I applied in September and we just found out last month, and we still haven't been awarded until April. So I'm gonna try to partner with
Let's say
Beautification
they
Day.
do give it to us, and we can't get to it right away. How long is that?
Most grants have a sunset on how soon you have to use it. For ARPA funds, I think you have to 2025, and they have certain criteria you have to use it
doesn't have to be
within.
done right away, within a couple weeks, couple months?
Oh, no. It's normally a year or two, but, yeah. And then I think 15% of that grant, you're able to hire people to do the work, so if you got a group of volunteers together, 15% of that, we could, hey, cut some trees and let's clean up this side of the, yeah.
Make that happen.
Yeah, the biggest thing, and we talked about it at the special meeting, is just being proactive on these grants, and the village is taking an excellent stance on being proactive on them and seeking them out, and, we've teed up projects between the SAW grant, and it'll be the drinking water asset management grant, as well as this goes right to the street capital improvement, plan we did and whatnot, that just gets it ready, gets the village ready for these projects, so. Art, nice job, Don, nice job staying proactive on this stuff. I mean, the money's there, but it goes, we just ran into it with the Sparks grant, through the DNR. They said there were gonna be 4 rounds of funding, and they ran out of it in the first round. Same thing happened with the DWAM grant. They said there were gonna be 4 rounds of funding, they didn't even fund all of the applicants in the first round, so. There's a lot of people looking for money in these grants, and being competitive and having everything ready to go has helped the village tremendously.
But by them calling, I don't know if, they encouraged me to apply for more, I don't know if that we're not getting anything, and maybe try a little smaller amount, or but.
Do we just basically apply through the state, or do we do the federal end of it too?
We avoided the state, went through the county for this, and then we're going through the federal to try to get an appropriations, I don't wanna say slip through, but essentially slip through. The documentation I put together was pretty good.
Well,
I hate to
just
say
saying,
that,
That's why I
but,
was kinda asking for the match for the
yeah, a lot of this is
infrastructure here,
part,
because some of the stuff you can show them, go, look how old this stuff is,
Yep.
you know?
Yeah,
We
very
need
lucky.
some help.
I
We need
definitely
some help.
Very lucky to have him putting stuff in.
I
I'm
definitely
telling you,
included
there's a
the
lot
age of
to
the
it.
system with the map. You know, I could have added some photos. I'm gonna probably reply with the bond specs based on this morning's meeting and add that. They said as long as you get it in by Friday, they'll work with you as the appropriation goes through, so. Chris Flores called, we met with Kildee and Flores and Jake Bennett, and he was pretty reserved and quiet, but on the phone he was awesome, so hopefully we build a rapport and go after some things. There's no such thing as free money in government, but if it's federal dollars, I'm happier.
Any questions?
Wow.
I would just say that, thank you for what you did, and, let's work on that Safe Routes to School
Absolutely.
design stuff, try to get that figured out. We gotta get that application in by June, but we're supposed to have a meeting next couple weeks, so let's send that over to the school and let them look at it.
Sounds good.
Perfect,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Council minutes for February, two separate dates, February 8th and February 22nd. Any discussion? Need a motion for each date.
I'll make a motion that we accept the council minutes from February 8th and February 22nd,
I'll support.
2023.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Commission committee reports. DDA for March 3rd, 2023.
Just noticed a typo, or on the downtown development, Kelly Cornford wasn't listed in the members present.
Okay. Thank you.
That's the only thing.
Push it there.
Motion to accept the downtown development authority report. Minutes.
Support.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Item B, Parks and Rec Committee, February 15th, 2023.
I would add that I talked with Tim from Panchera this week. He's gonna start sending over playscape equipment to kinda give a cost estimate of what it looks like. We talked about the rubber underneath the play area. He said it's going for $20 a square foot and can eat up a budget really quick. So we discussed ways of maybe just doing the rubber matting all the way to the equipment, so handicap accessible for everyone, and then doing wood chips in year one. And each year add up on where $20,000 or $15,000, whatever the parks can afford, to make the whole thing the rubber underneath soft stuff. I also reached out to Sam to see if he had any connections. He's gonna look into that, see if we can figure out a way. Tim said the project in Chesaning was about $270,000. So if we're gonna be competitive, we might have to space this out a little bit, but that's okay, we'll get there. Other thing, Tim has 8 kids, I thought he was crazy, that was fun. I don't know him well enough to make any jokes yet, but I will. So that's kind of what's happening next week in parks, is hopefully we'll have Tim out here, or at least have some equipment to look at and start going over things. We want it to be ADA compliant. As we heard from the crowd, we wanted people, 2, 3, 4-year-olds have something to do, but we also want something that will bring families, young families to St. Charles to use, so.
We got a motion to accept.
Motion to accept Parks and Recreation Committee minutes.
Support.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Item C, Planning Commission for February 16th of 2023. Any discussion?
Long story short, the zoning ordinance was approved and sent to you. You have it in your packets. Jim talked about chickens, and we reviewed the home daycare laws and ordinances that are illegal. We messaged the state to kind of tell them that the change won't go into effect until you approve this change, but we requested the limitation to be ignored so that daycares in St. Charles can continue to operate and serve the community. If it's possible to grant the subject daycare a 30-day extension on their permit or provide some other leniency. If somebody's calling the village office. Extension on their permit or provide some leniency, we'd appreciative as we go through this issue, so everybody should be good until we get this approved.
I think I can say that thanks for getting the ordinances to us. We haven't had a chance to read them over, obviously. It seemed like there's a lot of definitions in it.
Yep, it was probably a year's worth of work. I don't know how fast you wanna go through this, but the sooner the better. I think a couple months maybe, or we could even spread it out as long as the state's okay with our home daycare, petition. Because there's a lot to go through. There's a lot of things that they recommend to be cleaned up as well.
So we've only been in there a couple months, so it's
Yeah.
gonna take a bit.
I sent it to everyone as soon as you're elected.
Speaking of which, you gotta get with you too, because I don't get these emails.
I know, is there a better way, like, if I start screenshotting the emails and then texting them to you, would that work?
Maybe, because I'm not getting them on my emails. I've looked several
Okay.
times. So,
We'll work on it.
yeah, we can work on it.
Okay. Next week, chickens.
Woo!
You can gavel them down for that.
Motion to accept the planning commission minutes for February 16th.
Support.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Communications. Letter from Doug Holland.
That was a letter in your packet from Doug Holland, just some of the highlights for people that may not know that, about beautification day.
Excuse me, honey, would you
Laura
introduce
Keegan.
yourself?
I'm sorry. He's figured out in the years since 1975 Beautification Day began, we have donated over $200,000 into the village. And if you figure out roughly 300 people for 4 hours a day, that's 1,200 hours, which is a part-time DPW employee. We've had IBEW electricians come out and install electricity down by the river. We have master gardeners that come in. People bring their personal equipment. Kids use Pay It Forward projects, which is a 5th grade project. And it's a really big tradition here in town, and I think we really need it, and we need support from the council, what you feel should go on, what should not go on. We have a national award, America Beautiful Award, that's national we've received. So, and one story I like to tell is one year we had 2 boys that came and helped, boys in their 20s. No one knew who they were, so we got to talking to them. And they didn't play sports, they weren't in any clubs, they did nothing but Beautification Day. They live in Wyoming, they came back to help
Wyoming, the state or Michigan?
the state. So I just thought that was really cool. That's the kind of people that we have come back every year. We have many alumni. I can look here and say, okay, every one of you have had a part in it.
Favorite day, I love it.
Right. Well,
You
not
have to wear
everybody loves it, but, I mean, they use it for their service hours that they need.
That started after I graduated.
Right,
I'm
1975 is when it started, so we're on our 48th year. And one thing I keep hearing, and I'm not against it, having these pots around town, you know, but it's like, well, Chelsea has these beautiful pots. Well, okay, but that's their tradition, that's not ours. So, like doing the curbs, I don't know if you guys remember how down Bell Avenue, it was petunias all the way down both sides. The only part we have is the few curves right up here on the corners. John Dusick has gone through and done some best practice management information. He's willing to talk to anybody. We've gotta do something different so that they do survive on that corner. It's kinda hard to go up there and replant everything. And they're not getting the water they need, they they need to be mulched to maintain that moisture, they need some drip irrigation system in there. There's just a lot of things that can be done to make that better, and that's just to continue this. So if anyone, you know, ever wants to come to a meeting, we're open to everybody to come, everybody to pull a weed, you know, you see it, pull it out, it's okay, you know. So we just need some more support. And it's
Well,
all donations.
that's the big issue. I mean, the community involvement, you know, the one day alone, that's great. I mean,
Yeah,
I take the day off of work and I have the last 5 years.
I've done it for 12.
And I always work with Mr. Holland right down Bell Avenue.
Mhm.
But once that beautification day is over, there ain't nobody out there helping pull weeds or anything. I mean,
Well, we do have somebody paying some of these kids to do it, right?
They do some, but it's just kind of select areas, it seems to be
Well, I
the
think
most.
Parks and Rec guys are actually trying to drum up new ideas too, to make it better for
Right,
weeding and watering.
well, more,
I think that's what where the pots come in, because they could hold more water, and they didn't have to water them as much and whatever, so. I
right,
think that was part of it, but just takes time, people, and money, so.
right, it's all donations, that's $200,000 that people have donated to this. So it's very important to a lot of people, we just gotta get more people beyond that day
Well,
to
if we could
help.
get people out, that'd be great, and get the students, which we don't have as many as we used to,
Right.
out, but I mean, not everybody could take the day off, so.
Right, I know, but it's all, you know, anytime during the year, come and help.
I took a
As far as
write-up last year to go to
maintenance goes, I mean,
beautification day. What are you
beautification
talking
I can
about?
believe it.
Ed's right, I mean, beautification day, I think a lot of people in this town take pride in the day, everybody in this room's probably been involved in one way or another. It's the maintenance piece that's a problem, right, we don't have the community involvement, and that's across the village, kind of the reputation we have, we do these great things, but then we don't have upkeep, blah, 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 DPW's inundated, they're doing everything they can to take care of the infrastructure. Have you guys considered doing like adopt a curb or
Yeah.
adopt a bed or anything like that, where young families or families in town can
We have a
adopt
few
certain
of
areas?
They did it in the parks down there, and whatever.
There's a few signs up that says this has been adopted by, we have homeschoolers that do a bed. So there are a few people that do it, some people say, I'm going to do this, and then don't do it. So you've counted on them, and then they haven't come and done that.
And it is dangerous for the hands, standing out on the curb.
Oh, I
There
agree.
weeds right here.
Those kids sit on those curbs and you drive by through town,
Right.
and they're wearing high vis, but I mean, it's like.
I don't know what the solution is, but that is just dangerous for them. They got their headphones in and
People texting,
One thing that we are going to do this year, we're going to give up the east side curbs, because those just, there's no way to manage them over
Right.
there. So it's just gonna be the west side, that keeps the students from going over there, that seems big.
but I see them up there with no cones, no safety,
Yeah.
nothing,
Yeah.
so I mean, maybe we should. think-
But those are the hams, that's nothing, we
right.
I'm just
control
saying,
it
like,
off,
we could, yeah, pulling the weeds and whatever.
you know. But, I mean, I've been up there, I can tell you how many nights pulling weeds. I walked out of the bank one day and seen a bunch of weeds, so I just, you know, it took me 10 minutes. Everybody needs to do something, if that's what we're asking, but we want some information, we want, what are you willing to do, we're gonna get rid of all those planters down Bell Avenue because they're not maintained, and I believe we're doing some sewer and water stuff down through there.
Water project.
So they're gonna be gone, they're not being maintained, they're gonna all be, and then the bricks can be used for another project.
We're talking the planters down
Those
West
half-
Bell.
Yep,
I know, I tried to weed those as much as I could through the summer, and I just could not keep up by myself. And, let alone with my own personal yard, you
right,
know, I
yours
mean,
looks great.
well, I'd like to see more flowers down the whole stretch of Bell Avenue, but it's just, I'm getting roadblocks every time I bring it up, you know, I mean, you know, a lot of it's liability, you know, the safety of the kids on the curbs, you know, I get that, but
So they will only be on the west side of the curb this year, they will not be going across there. But they cross the road, do get uptown, they cross the road to get onto the rail trail, do, you know, so it's, never have we had a kid get yucked in 48 years, so knock on wood for that.
Laura, when are your meetings?
They're generally announced, they're not, you know, always, but there's a beautification Facebook, Janie tries to put it out on the school message also.
The last one was President's Day, and then the school was closed, and then didn't know if they were having it, and then they moved it to the Legion, so.
Yeah,
You
cause
kinda-
Janie couldn't open the
yeah,
school.
you
so
kinda
it
gotta
had to
just
move, so
be-
you just gotta kinda watch. But yeah, we always need more volunteers, always.
Maybe get some reminders out too, it's Friday, May 19th,
Yes, so it's the third Friday.
so as it gets a little closer, I think maybe we could remind some people.
Well, that's kinda what I was thinking, you know, if we, a little more advertising, you know, we don't advertise a lot of things in this town, and I think that's where we go wrong. We need to advertise, get it out as much, and,
There's
one-
always an article in the Citizen every year on it
yeah.
beforehand. Sometimes there's stuff afterwards. We've had the news out here multiple times, been on the news.
It hits the Uptown sign, it hits our Facebook page. One of the initiatives with becoming a tree city, which we're going after grants, to plant trees, but it's Arbor Day, Beautification Day, and one of the things, they want pictures from Beautification Day sent to their page, so that advertising will come as well as soon as we're approved in April. Their goal is to plant 50 million trees by 2030. But if we can partner with this, with Beautification Day and Tree City, we should be able to get a lot of trees and a lot of plants for free.
That's good.
The kids are so excited on that day to go out there and work, and it's so rewarding to see them pointing out to the parents and telling them what they did, and, well, yeah, I learned how you had to do it this way, and it cuts down on the vandalism. You don't see the kids ripping up these plants anywhere because they're vested in it.
And you'll always
Thank
go
you.
out, take pictures of the kids and
Thanks,
everything.
Laura.
Yeah.
Thank you. Payment of claims.
I think we did better this month. Not a lot, but we did. I'm still not understanding a lot of this stuff.
That's funny, I went through a couple other villages paying their claims just to see how they do it, see if we could do it better, and it's pretty much the
Well, I
same.
still, you know, like I said, if you had like the DPW in a block, and everything that related to that, that was coming out of our budget right there, and then you had,
So, yeah, we break it down even further, but you gotta remember that state law, we have a line items and chart of accounts that we have to follow, and so that's what we're kinda doing, is following state law.
Like what Mike was saying, you know, he said, oh, you'll get used to it after a while. I'm just saying, you should be able to look at it and be plain as day.
I'm gonna screenshot this to you, text it to you, because you're not getting an email, but on January 12th, I sent at 10:16 a.m., basically explains, and I even throw photos in there, what each department means. So the first three set of digits are the funds, so the 100 to 400 are government fund types, general funds,
get that.
permanent special revenue. 500s are proprietary or enterprise funds. Anything 700 or higher is fiduciary, so, and then it tells you what each number means. So first 100 is general fund, the second middle one will be, whether it's public safety would be 300, public works is 440, capital outlay 900, and then the last three digits is the current assets, the cash and investments, or the receivables, inventory, etc. And I'll send that to you, just so that everybody has it, and this is what we have to follow by state law, and they do audit this.
So we went from 300, over 300,000 last month to 269, which is an improvement, yeah. And there's a few things I don't understand on here. The blue book, what the heck is USA Blue Book?
That's parts for water and sewer. It's a company that sells parts for water and sewer.
Okay, the James Swan Creek St. Charles purchase.
That's for our purchased water. We buy it through the, water authority. So it comes from the city of Saginaw, and then they bill us all out.
That's another thing, 'cause I'm glad we ended up fixing our little hiccup we had up there on 52 on the corner, but that's the point we were trying to get across the last time. The more water we pump out of there, the more we get charged. So why are we letting it run? And I'm glad you buttoned it up, but it's just like, to let it run for 3 months till you guys got on it was ridiculous. I'm sorry. And there's a couple of them. Anything, we're on our little waste cans, have we?
You gotta tell us what page you're on, Paul.
Yeah, I'm looking here. Klein Electric, we already heard. Understand that. guess that was pretty much the major parts of that, what we were wondering about. But yeah,
And I did try to go into the software to see if there was a different way I could pull the report, and it doesn't let me do it by fund. It's just, basically, it's the order of the dates that we get the bills, so you'll generally see the same ones come around pretty much the same time of the month.
I mean, I get some of the stuff you're not gonna be able to change, Mid-Michigan waste, you know, but some of the stuff should have been questioned. It just- I don't know.
Well, you know, all the fact that you can point it out and question each of these just shows how transparent it is.
Well,
If
that's good.
we did the lump like you said, I think you'd have more questions about where things are going.
But you can look at that and go, okay, now he's looking at the Kennedy, whatever, that could have been right under DPW, correct?
But here it's transparent, it's like, this is where everything's
get what
going,
you're
if
saying,
you
but
put
they
it in a
could have this
block,
in that
it could be,
block.
it makes it easier to look like you can rob Peter to pay Paul. Yeah,
That's
this
why
is,
I'm questioning, because sometimes it looks like that. Yeah, I think that's it, man. Maybe just knock it down a little bit, so we're, I think we're all good with that. That direction.
I'll make a motion to, pay the bills for the month of, February in the amount of $134,802.98.
I'll support.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed?
We gotta close this meeting, open up the hearing.
We have a motion to close this open meeting.
I'll make the motion to close the open meeting.
I'll support.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? New business. A truth and taxation public hearing for FY 2023-24 budget.
And just as a transparency, I'm gonna read this little clear from the budget. Attached is a permanent record and by reference is hereby adopted the document 2023 to 2024 fiscal year budget, which includes a 12.8029 village operating millage and a 2.1971 village street fund millage for a total of 15 mills.
Does anybody have any questions on the budget?
I need a motion to close the public hearing.
Motion to close the public hearing.
Support.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? And I need a motion to open the meeting.
So moved.
Support.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed?
I'd be happy to talk a little bit about the budget, if you will.
Go ahead.
So, the director of the Congressional Budget Office, or the CBO, said the current assessment of economic growth will probably be slower in 2023 than the agency projected in May 2022. Reflecting on recent developments, including higher interest rates, as the economy recovers, rates of unemployment, inflation, and interest will probably be higher over the next 2 years than CBO projected in May 2022. This led to a fiscally conservative budget with modest increases. But this budget has a lot as far as the largest infrastructure project in the history of the village. Again, that we will be paying on until 2042. It also includes $112,000 for a new playscape in our parks. It includes a modest 2% wage increase for all employees, excluding myself. Our employees do so much for us, but it also pays down the promises of the past to previous employees. We have $294,000 in this budget to go towards our pension liabilities. I've mentioned before, when I got here, we were 59% funded. We are now 75.05% funded. My hope is next month, when the auditor is here, we're in the 80% range. That would be huge. From 59 to 80 in 3 years is phenomenal. Other municipalities are begging the state for a handout. We're not doing that. We've made the hard decisions, and we're paying it off the promises. I think they budgeted about $650 million for most municipalities, but there's a rule that you had to have over 20,000 in population. So that left everybody under 10 begging for the 250 they promised that they never appropriated. So now they're starting an email trend, or a fund throughout the state. Everybody wants to keep posted whatever's gonna happen at 250. Well, we can hold our hand out, or we can do the work ourselves. Our OPEB, our other public employee benefits, which is healthcare for our former employees, was funded, I think, 8% when I got here. It's up to 23 in 2 years. The state will probably come after people in the near future to get that up, or ding you. This budget includes 48,000, a minor 48,000, but it's also increasing. For a point of reference, our pension liabilities hit about $4.8 million. Our OPEB is around, I want to say, $1.4 million. So these are dollars that are eating up things that we could be doing in town to pay off the promises of the past. And we're happy to do that, but we've closed some of those accounts. Nobody has the B, well, a few people have the B4, but we've closed that to the C1 pension with the 1.5 multiplier. So we're trying to make the tough decisions. We did budget to increase the equipment fund. We have looked at trucks. So we were supposed to purchase one last year. They came in $9,000 over what we had hoped. We went out to bid this week. One came back at $38,000 or $39,000, same price as the last one, and the other was at $48,000. So not a great time to buy a truck or a work truck. So, but again, this also includes the $3.6 million, the largest infrastructure project ever. As you see the leaks throughout town, you know why we need this. There's a lot of, well, 14 years where there's no water rate increases that stops you from being able to afford to make the necessary changes. So long-term liabilities, parks and rec, employees of the past and the future, as well as the DDA still gets $20,000 to increase downtown development, facade grant program, advertising. We're discussing next month, everybody's supposed to bring 3 to 5 ways on how to better our downtown, whether it means purchasing some of the dilapidated buildings and dozing them, and creating pocket parks with waterfalls, or fire pits that beer trucks and wine trucks can pull up to, and start throwing that into like our October hometown days, or Oktoberfest as I'd like to call it, but things like that. So a lot of DDA will be doing a lot of big things this year as well. Very ambitious. So if you want to go through it again, or anything you have questions on, I'd be happy to explain. We saw a slight 1.3% increase from our state revenue sharing that's constitutionally required in Article 4, Section 10 of the State Constitution of 1963, which makes up 15% of the 4% portion of Michigan's 6% sales tax. So that's fun to know. Our health insurance increased 8.82%. That is something that we're gonna have to look at next year. Maybe bidding out even further, or going down a plan. Our liability and property insurance increased to $1,300, but we'll be receiving a check for $3,400 as a dividend return. We're paying off the Fulton Hosmer project, which is $20,000 to the general fund and $20,000 to the Boatworks fund. The Office of Revenue and Tax Analysis, which gives us money for our major and local roads, consists of $600 million redirected income tax, which 61.3 million of that is the recreational marijuana tax revenue. Our numbers went up barely. Not a lot for a lot of roads, about 312,000 in totality between major and local, but again, congressional appropriations, please come through. We also received a grant from the state, $250,000, which we can put towards our roads as part of this project. I will be asking the DDA for $50,000 to repair the alley behind the Goodrich building and those apartments and subway. If you've driven through there, you know it's a roller coaster, and I think, I don't know if I'll get it, but we're gonna try next month to get 50 out of them to go towards our road funding. There's a $37,000 in the police department for capital outlay and repairs and maintenance to purchase whatever they need. I talked with Julie last week. She mentioned 4 or 5 lights so nighttime when they're on calls that they can light up the road so people can see them so they're not getting hit. They're about $100 a piece. I applied for a grant for new body cameras for them. It's about $4,000 to cover all the costs. I should hear about that probably middle of summer. We received our vests finally.
And the money.
And the money that have to be repaid. We have a new vehicle. We'll keep funding them. I think that has a large increase as far as public safety. Other than that, this budget is a target-based budgeting and line item system that shows where all our liabilities lie, and it will be posted online, and we have to put this on for the state to review, and our auditors will go through it as well.
Get a roll call vote.
Motion for the resolution.
We need a motion for the amendment first.
I'll make a motion to approve the amendment of resolution 23-6.
Okay, Lois?
Yes.
Kathy Harris?
Yes.
Michael Nesbitt?
Yes.
Edgar Tito?
Yes.
Paul Jandrowski?
Yes.
Darcy McSwain?
Yes.
And Jamie Kendall?
Yes.
A motion for the approval of the resolution.
So moved.
Support.
Roll call vote.
Lois Tiley?
Yes.
Kathy Harris?
Yes.
Michael Nesbitt?
Yes.
Edgar Tito?
Yes.
Paul Jandrowski?
Yep.
Darcy McSwain?
Yes.
And Jamie Kendall?
And D, fiscal year 2019, 2020 to 2024, 25 capital improvement plan updated.
So the capital improvement is just to start planning fixed projects for the future, 5 years in advance, so that we don't get caught with a 30-year dump truck or a 20-year loader or a 20-year police vehicle. It's just planning for the future responsibly. The reason it goes to the planning commission first is just so they have eyes on it, so they don't think one public interest is heavier than the other, so that they can also make suggestions as well. So this, you'll see everything on here. Last year, we received a grant, $397,000 from the state of Michigan for our drinking water assets. We received $250,000 for the category B. We're also gonna be using $50,000 from the Saginaw Community Foundation towards our playscape from 2019. So this is where you see all the water fund, sewer fund, what kind of are planning. There's about $10,000 for new sidewalks. Well, we'll go well above that on our water project, all down 52. We're gonna try to do ADA compliant, obviously, sidewalks with all the curbs that we required. This tells you about our general obligation bonds. It breaks it down by street fund and what we're going after. So if you look back, you'll see in 2021-22, we bought a police vehicle. Body cameras, we're paying $5,000 this year. I always like to joke, the previous manager prior to me in Village Hall and Grounds wanted a kitchen remodel for $25,000. I always joke he ate a little bit more than I did, but don't tell him I said that. Tree removal, we have $5,000 each year for tree removal, $5,000 for new sidewalks. It's part of our Act 51 dollars, Public Act 51 of 1951. This helps pay off our excavator, load, our dump truck in payments, and shows you where the liability lies, as well as a pickup truck and a portable sewer machine, so we can, when people call and they're backed up, we can go over there and not have to call city sewers or anything like that. So this is just a plan for the future, and obviously it's going to need to be renewed in your time here, and set goals on what equipment you think we need or what upgrades you think you want. Paul, I know you want a boat launch. I know it'll be.
We need more money. We need more money in the budget for tree removal, cause $5,000, what is that, 2 trees? How many trees?
$1,000 a tree.
Oh, it's more than that. Some of these trees around town here, I took a walk a couple days ago, Clinton Street's got 2 trees that are just like the one next to my house, next to my swimming pool.
And some of those grants that we're going after for tree replacement is also for tree removal. I think one quote we got for a tree a couple of weeks ago was $2,800 for one tree. We went out for 3 bids and both came back at the same number. I think like they had talked to each other. So we'll go out to bid again, but
You're not replacing one for one though, are you? You remove
we're trying to go 4 for 1.
Because some of those are terrible locations. I was talking to Don,
Yeah.
he did our side. I mean, they're
No,
just
no.
terrible locations.
Correct,
Yeah.
correct in your assessment,
Okay.
but as far as number wise, we're trying to go 4 for 1, but that's, I received that Keep Michigan Beautiful grant a few years ago. I think that purchased 4 or 5 trees, and then we purchased 3 on our own. I forgot to add that this budget does include $1,000 for beautification days. It has.
It's not gonna be broke down though. I mean, you're gonna show what we have to work with and basically what we have that we're paying out. So we
Yeah.
can get like a
Yep, absolutely.
oversight of what's going on.
Yep. Absolutely. So I can break it down even further because on the first page it'll show you kind of general fund versus major street, local. So this year it looks like $798,000 in totality for annual allocation projected projects. And you gotta remember most of that is this water project, so that'll be
Well, that's what I'm saying.
our
We
first
already know
bond
what's
payment.
going out to that.
Yeah.
I'm just saying all the other.
Yep, so then, for instance, on this, like when you get into parks, you know, what we're paying for this year is kind of demo that park pool house eventually, upgrades and equipment is, there's
Obviously,
105
in
there.
the future, you're not gonna know exactly what it is.
Nope,
You
you-
get a rough idea of where the
Yep.
money's gonna be going.
So you meet with the,
whatever.
yep, meet with department heads, meet with the council, get what your interests are, get what their needs are, that way we're all on the same page, trying to buy the same things, you know, when Julie came to me and said we need a new police vehicle, you know, we start thinking about budgeting for that, where's it gonna come out of, general fund dollars, then it comes out of the 100, 300 account for 900 for capital outlay, right from there you can see each line item.
I got a motion to approve the capital improvement plan updated.
Motion to approve.
Support.
Roll call vote.
Lois Tiley, Kathy Harris,
Yes.
Michael Nesbitt,
Yes.
Edgar Tito,
Yes.
Paul Jendersky,
Yes.
Darcy McSwain,
Yes.
and Jamie Kendall.
Yes.
Item E, Chief Julie Church.
stand up here, actually. I'm gonna stand to the back of the room so I can see people, but can you hear me? Can I stand right here? I want to be able to look at people. Good evening, board and village residents. Please bear with me as I read through this statement. There undoubtedly will be tears. These are not tears of weakness, and they are not tears for pity. They are actually quite opposite. In May of 2020, I accepted the position of interim chief, and on Tuesday, February 28th, 2023, nearly 3 years later, I turned in my resignation from the position of interim chief. Tonight, I stand here, and I am very thankful, beyond words. Since accepting the position, I've invested myself in St. Charles, my time, my money, who I am, and what I have. I shop here, and everybody knows me by name. I learned the behind-the-scenes responsibilities of law enforcement administration that you would not believe exist, and they are ever-changing. I've met, forged, and nurtured relationships with many people, including many people in this room. I have had contact with some people at the lowest points in their lives and walked them through a process, sometimes repetitively. When I need answers, I seek them out, and I glean information from many educated, experienced, and knowledgeable people, including the chiefs of police of Saginaw County have like 200 years of chief experience between them. I've come together with the Tri-Township Fire Department, with the St. Charles Public School staff, Saginaw County deputies and administration, and the EMS paramedics and EMTs. We are committed to build strong relationships in service to this community. For all these experiences and so many, I am grateful. In this department, in this police department, we have accomplished a variety of things in the last 3 years, including supporting families in crisis, bringing the dead back to life, taking drugs off the streets. We've impounded a lot of cars, marched in parades. We walked stray dogs home, given more candy to the students than should be legal. And have supported the residents here in this town in so many more ways than just writing citations. The police department has brought into compliance with our liability company through the completion and creation of a policy and procedure manual. Saginaw County protocols and expectations are established in this department. The dreaded state audit was completed this year, and we are compliant with the federal government and reporting standards for the first time in years in this department. A strong foundation for this department to grow under strong leadership has been laid, and I hope to continue to be part of this department, as it's integral to the village of St. Charles. I'm thankful for the support that I've been shown, and our department has been shown, by not only our residents, but our council. Your kind words, actions, and prayers have been very encouraging. Moving forward, this is the thing that I'm requesting. I'm gonna request that you guys continue to support our police department. And I'm gonna request that you guys support our police department and our board members, because they're dealing with stuff at levels that we don't understand, and that's ever changing. And they need your support, and so do we. That's it. My resignation will be effective March 29th, unless something else is necessary. And I know they've begun the process of finding a new chief. So if you have any questions, you guys know to contact me. I'm always available.
We don't know what brought this on, and maybe it's personal or whatever. We don't really want to see you go.
Thank you.
If there's something we can do, whether it be, I don't know why it's taken 3 years to be a police chief. I think you've proved yourself well enough. I think we should have made you whole a long time ago. But I hope you reconsider, but it's your choice.
Thank you.
So zoning ordinance handout for April.
You have 152 pages in front of you of every zoning rule law that will be applied to the village. This has been cleaned up. It has been downsized by about 150 pages. Everything is concise now. Where you go to, rather than finding one thing on this page and the same thing on 20 pages later, it's all going to be together. This is not a perfect document. This is something that will need review from you. I will need you to read it. I will have Jason Ball from Rowe Engineering here the next 2 months for questions, legality purposes, the Zoning Enabling Act of 76 redone in, I think, 2002, to make sure the village is complying legally, but at the same time, not creating a burden or nuisance for neighbors. So that's the last thing we want to do. I've always tried to live that a man's home is his castle, a person's home is their castle. I hate telling people how to regulate their own lives. I don't like to do that. This document tries not to do that with minimal damage to others, but it is a work in progress. Just because we approve something doesn't mean it's set forever. As you can see, this was done, I think, 2017. The document they had the lawyers review and the document they received were different. We're trying to get this a little bit updated and better. The Planning Commission did make recommendations for changes, such as looking at RV definitions, ORV definitions, corner lot, backyard definitions for those on corners. What else? Things like that. Chickens we just took out due to permitting. But they will go to work on code enforcement on what to enforce after this based on some of these zoning. But this is just the zoning side. This isn't the code side. That'll be probably another year of work, hopefully shorter. But things such as weed, marijuana, chickens is out, sorry, dogs. What else? How water bills are handled, how they're, when you're letting the house know they're warning that they haven't paid their bill, rules and regulations on enforcement of that. So it's a lot. I don't know if you want to do a few chapters at a time and see where we're at. Like I said, we did about 4 chapters a night. The reason we moved our planning commission meetings to 6 is because we were here from 7 to 10 almost every meeting, and it was getting old. So I don't expect you to go through it quickly, but read through it, and if you have questions, mark them. I can send you over all the questions that we've kind of gone through over the last year, but Jason will also be here as the resident expert, so.
Department reports, DPW.
At the 2023 February DPW report, we pumped 3.4 million gallons of water, that equals about 123,000 gallons a day. Red meters, we did repair the valve on 100 East Mall. We did have the bid opening for our water project. We pumped 5.6 million gallons of sewer, about 200,000 gallons a day. Cleaned the sewer line on 217 East Clinton streets. We had 4 snowplow events, all snow, routine patching. The equipment, this is the time of year we work on our street sweeper and rebuild it from the previous summer. Repaired our snow pusher for our loader, and we had a cylinder replaced on one of our John Deere tractors.
The work's all done on J Street? From last
For
year?
now, I'll put paving the road.
So you okay.
When they come in to pave on the water system project, we've worked with TJ Prees in the past, where if we have something little that they can help out, or if they have extra asphalt they don't want to take back to Imlay City, hey, there's a spot over here, will you go fill it in and pave it, and we're gonna try to do that on J Street, clean that up in the L shape, so.
And what happened there was, I don't know, back in '97, they replaced the brand new water main. They ran copper to the edge of the road, left the galvanized under the road, and it was copper to the person's home. So of course it leaks right in the middle of the road. Basically ripped the whole road up
So
and replaced the line.
it also goes to show that just because it's not forties, fifties, or sixties, even the nineties, there could be some galvanized that we have to treat as lead. So that whole map of, this is the age of the system, well, there's some areas that say nineties that could be galvanized.
Is the map showing us the age of the infrastructure, where the oldest stuff is?
Yep.
Maybe we could look at the water breaks for the last few years, 5 years.
They actually created a map.
We've got a map for those as well.
Good.
Bring it next meeting. Paul's gonna want it.
No problem.
I can probably mark a couple of them.
Yeah, if you look at it, you can tell certain areas are definitely more frequent than others.
And yesterday they capped it, what, 3 times? And it moved?
Police department report?
It's always a good time to do the year-end report. See some statistics for the last year, compare them to the last couple of years, and so that's what you guys received for this meeting. There's a lot of information. I try not to overwhelm you. I know there's a lot in your packet already. If you have any questions about those numbers, I did advise her, here's all the documentation where those numbers came from. We don't make these up in our heads. We've got, every time we write a ticket, it goes into the system, it goes into another system. And every time we stop a car, every time we write a report, every time we get a call through central dispatch, it goes into a system that goes into a computer counting system. So all those numbers come right from either the computer system or from central dispatch or the programs that we use to write those reports and citations. But the thing that I think I'm pretty proud of is that our arrests were significantly more this last year. That's important to us. And then the crime in 2022 has been significantly less than even COVID years, so those numbers are just indicative of the fact that we're out there, we're on the street, people see us and they know we're here, and they know when we're not here. So, any questions?
I would just point out, in the report, it says that an SRO or officer position will be soon mandatory at all schools in the state of Michigan. I don't think the village will have to fund this. I was looking through the State School Aid Act of 1979, or Act 94 of 79. It looks like they're gonna appropriate, this year, next year, about $25 million to public schools, the districts, and the ISDs to pay for that. That's something to be cognizant of when the time comes. Obviously, we're paying for officer out at the time, but we'll see what they do. I know that most schools in the county do have one now. Most of them got a grant to pay for it.
Well, the county just received a grant and they moved that SRO position into Chesney. That information came from, and I know he's pulled up a little bit, we don't know a lot of everything. We just hear in the Chiefs Association, this is what's coming down from the government, this is what's coming down from the state, and we just rolled it, and 99% of the time it doesn't have funding. We were thrilled that educational credits and all that may actually come with some funding, and so that's exciting news to us, because when they say, hey, these things are required, and they don't give us money to do them, it makes it awful difficult to do them. So it'll be interesting to see really where the state takes law enforcement or public safety in the next couple of years.
There is probably about 30 bills right now in the House, one in the Senate that are going through this. A lot of it's about training for school resource officers, and that was some of the debate we talked about. Is it gonna be MCOLs? Is it gonna be state police? Looks like they're gonna be taking it over. So.
Well, just like we were saying, you got, what's her name, Alyssa Ott?
Officer Ott is, in the schools currently.
Is she gonna, if they give us more money for it, she's only in there, 4 hours a day? That's not really nothing. If the
There's a
state's
lot
gonna
of
give
ifs
us
on
money,
that. I'd love to see
we
them
would like to
funded.
see it at somebody else out here, because to me, public safety is one of the major things in this town. Our water, our kids, public safety, And just to leave her there and us paying for that, the state's gonna fund it, I mean, like I said, we can get a.
Well, I can hope, I hope that the state will.
Well, if not, we
We're-
could use her out here, I'm just saying, to get a retired cop or a veteran vet in there that can give us more time to protect our kids in the school. I mean, after MSU shooting and whatever, I think that,
Yeah.
their eyes would be a little more open, so.
Yeah.
Is there a reason why the school doesn't, like, participate in funding?
I'm guessing financials.
Yeah.
That's purely speculation, but that'd be my
I know at
assumption.
one time that they talked about the school and the police department doing
Mark
that.
Benson.
With our town.
See, the superintendent give a call to me, and send him that.
Meet in the middle of it. There was no, it wasn't their fault.
There are grants available that, I don't know if they're even writing
Yeah,
for those. but-
Chesaning Schools is actually the one that got that
Right,
grant.
and that's the
It wasn't-
difference.
It wasn't the county, yeah.
Is that the one that you
The
sent to
matching
me?
fund for the sheriffs, they hired
Yep.
actually a deputy for the sheriff's department, Chesaning did.
Okay.
Yeah,
Match
their
your funds
school,
to their
their
grant.
school applied for that grant.
Yeah, I think
And that-
it's like
and
that's something we-
$45,000.
I wouldn't even mind partnering with the school, you know, cause say 8 months you're in the school for this amount, a lot of time, and then in the summer months you're out on our roads, but there's gotta be a partnership available, but it seems that it's held
Yeah,
up a little bit.
Yeah, we made progress, but boy, COVID did a number on a lot of that, and we're not gonna quit. Our, like you said, our kids, our education and their safety is important to the police department, so that will continue though.
It's a good time to do it with a new superintendent of schools. You got Benson in there now. He's been there
Right, I mean,
6 months.
he could
It's just a
have written
lot,
that grant.
Yeah, everything's new, everything's new.
Everything's new for him.
There,
I mean,
yeah.
Art is very educated. To give him,
Yeah.
and partner with Benson and the superintendent of schools, I don't
Yeah.
know why you wouldn't encourage that.
Right, and we're working together already with the safe routes to schools, it's,
Yeah.
you know,
Have they named a financial person yet?
I don't believe so, and that's,
As of right
I think
now.
some of
That's
that's the
another big
lapse is, nobody's in that, have they?
I don't remember her name though.
Beth Harger is right now, is a temporary
Gotcha.
director of finance.
She's probably just trying to make the books go for now, rather than
I-
projecting future.
As of right now, I believe that's all we know, is that she's temporary doing that until next year.
Really, there's a lot of stuff going on. You sure you want to stop that?
Building inspector code enforcement report.
Scott is not here, I assume he is busy. There have been a lot of people coming in, filling applications as springtime and projects are beginning. Obviously not a ton on his chart this month, but they're filling them out. We're trying to get strike zone approved for their signage. I know that for sure, something I'm working on, but new doors. We had an electrical issue at the new Family Dollar. They pulled permits, but they pulled only for the access in and not the entire building, so they'll be getting the bill. A rather large one. He's been busy.
Well, most of the stuff that Scott had is pretty much all the same.
Yeah, we're kinda waiting for this approval of your zoning, so then he has something he can take to the courts.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what you can do, some of it's actually got worse.
And like I told you, a lot of this stuff, for instance, you put it on their taxes, well, they haven't paid their taxes in 2 or 3 years, so they're not gonna pay a $300 bill for code enforcement or violation. Although I should add that the land bank of Saginaw County should have all the houses that are up end of March. So March 31st, they told me to call back April 4th, and they should have all the properties in this area that have hit their 3-year tax limit, didn't ask for extension, that we can start going after for land auction. There's a few downtown that the DDA is interested in, and I will be watching.
Is there really something in the ordinance for hedge height?
Yeah, yeah. And some of it, you know, could be, are you blocking a stop sign? You know, things like that.
Speaking of stop signs, Don, I noticed that one at Fulton and Clinton is still just
We'll get it fixed, so that we're across it, underground.
Just saying.
Still covered, I'm able to determine. Check 3/8, that would be today.
Yeah. You left abruptly this morning, didn't you? Do you help me know?
I think he had an appointment at the at the township.
Public comment? Step forward, sir.
There's a lot of people in this community that are considered in the floodplain. They're paying outrageous prices for flood insurance. Every 2 or 3 years, FEMA goes through and puts more of St. Charles in the floodplain because they need the money to piss away on other things. I've asked for the last 5 or 6 years to try to get somebody out here to explain what is going on with this. How they can get this insurance knocked down or eliminated. I hired a concern for $650 on a house that I had. It's above the floodplain, but because there's a berm all the way around the house, the only floor in the house is considered the second floor. FEMA said I had a berm around the house, and now they use the ground underneath as the first floor, so I still have to pay flood insurance. They tell you one thing and really make something different. Now, right now, since there's been a change of political people, Dan Kennedy is our representative, and through him and his assistant, through 699 local retirees meeting, we've contacted them and we're working with them to try to get somebody out here to speak that knows what the hell is going on that. And it's really frustrating that nobody wants to do anything that should be done. The other thing I wanted to say was, I noticed all this money that's being budgeted, $100,000 for a playscape, $100,000 for flowers along the highway, $2 million for a kayak thing that probably will hit maybe half a dozen people a year that'll use it. Money budgeted for sidewalks, and yet over the last 5 years, I've been trying to get about 15 foot of sidewalk put in on Walnut Street, where the lines that are most dependent on direct the fields out in the highway go out there. This was stopped for one reason, because Frankfurt said there's no sidewalk going across my front yard. What the hell is so scary about Frankfurt that they can't put 2.5 blocks, 15 foot, whatever, that are cost at $100 a yard probably somewhere between $4,000 and $5,000 to put that in. And then it's 6, and the money is budgeted for this, for that, for something else, and nothing's ever being done that should be done. I'm not probably against other things, but I'll let it go for the day. Let's be on something more. Thank you.
Thanks, Kenny.
No comments?
If you want me to comment, Walnut Street is part of the Safe Routes to School grant. We were applying for $660,000. That would take care of that, of state funds. As far as FEMA, that is a federal issue. The problem with that is we are Region 5. Region 5 is based out of Chicago. To get somebody from Chicago to St. Charles has been difficult. FEMA, again, another terrible federal entity, lost all their money in Louisiana during the earthquakes, and they've been trying to pick on smaller communities to backfill their coffers. We are one that pays in, but we don't receive anything from it. He's 100% right on that. Again, getting someone from Chicago to St. Charles to discuss FEMA when they are really just a federal program trying to recoup their money they lost in the hurricane. Sorry, I said earthquake.
That sidewalk, take the million, just put it in, let you get the swimming pool, put donation jars in the businesses, private donations to pay for it. According to my wife, the state says no, you can't do that, and I say the hell with the state. They don't live here, they ain't doing anything for us, we have to take care of ourselves and our children. It's only a matter of time when some kid or some old fart like me gets run over by somebody coming from a football game or basketball game walking in the street. That's ridiculous.
Again, it is a huge safety concern. We've sold the state. They've walked it with us 3 or 4 times. They know it's a problem. That's why I think we're going to be the pilot program, hopefully, and we will get that paved, along with new lighting, clean up curbs. We're working on the design right now as we speak. Again, Mr. Benson, Mr. Moody, people at the school, along with Tina from the Michigan Health Alliance, along with Adam from Safe Routes to School. So we meet regularly to try to accomplish Mr. Coots' goals.
Anybody else for public comment?
What's gonna be done with the dog kennels in the residential area? And the feces from the dogs?
Scott Crowfoot will look into it as he has been.
That's been going on 4 years, you've been looking into it.
And your debate with the neighbors are about 40 years in. Like, come on. Mr. Crowfoot will be over there as he is every Wednesday.
Are we part of a co-op for the Mid-Michigan Waste Authority, or is it handled?
Yeah, nope, we are a co-op. We meet in, was it Thomas Township? We're part of, I don't even know how many municipalities, but it allows us to bargain together and get better deals. So our rates should be going down as far as waste and recycling. Our carts, we just got the list this evening while we were sitting here. I have until the end of March 31st to make sure every house is included. And then they will deliver to the homes, but it's us and basically every municipality in Saginaw County broken into different zones.
Yeah, the reason I brought it up is Paul mentioned, I mean, the number 1 cause of injury in the state, in the country is slip, trip, and fall, right? So part of their prerogative of putting these carts on the side of the road is to keep employees from getting in and out of the trucks. I don't know what kind of cost savings that's reflecting for the village, but it's gonna save Mid-Michigan Waste Authority millions in insurance and workman's comp and stuff like that. So I just wanna, I think if you're part of a co-op and you've got, we always say, you know, who's holding the lever? If you've got the lever, I'd go push for more money. Because they're gonna have additional costs in equipment, but it was equipment they were replacing anyway with capital budgeting.
Yep.
So they're gonna save millions and millions and millions of dollars in insurance and workers' comp.
You talking about those ones that they just looked
Correct,
up?
so the reason they're doing that is because of the slip, trip, and fall stuff,
We
right?
looked, when I was on the council 6 years ago, I think we looked at it, we had MMW come out here and actually do a presentation, and when, and it sounded great, when we looked at the cost, it was outrageously unfeasible for the village.
Yeah.
I mean, it was like
Now they're showing cost
terribly
reduction,
expensive for us, yeah.
but I think they're showing cost reduction now because of the carts, right?
Correct.
Just
That'll,
making sure that they're.
that will be reflected
they're
on your
stacking.
taxes, that,
Yeah.
I think it does go up year 2, or year 3, I should say, but marginally.
I haven't been following on that, the cards that every resident's gonna have, are we paying for those, or?
Nope, free. And you do have the option, there's, what, I think 96 gallon and there's a 64 gallon. You can request, and 20% of the population doesn't have to have a cart. I know one lady came in, she said, my dad has one little grocery bag, plastic grocery bag a week, does he have to have a cart? I said, no, so 20% of the population does not have to have any cartage.
So we don't have to take the cart?
Nope.
Okay.
But if it goes over 20%, then the village will get dinged, and we'll try to
'Cause
have to
I'm
figure
like
that
them,
out.
I got one bag a week, I'm
Yeah.
not gonna haul
Yep.
that thing out.
So you don't have to, but, some people, I think it's 30 days of both 96, and then you can request the 64, so.
But if you don't take the cart right away, are they gonna, if you decide to later, are they gonna charge you for it?
Probably, but they will be delivering to you, it's not gonna be like I saw in the Tri-County that some people had to go pick up theirs, they should be going to you, and that's what they told me, yesterday, so.
It'd be great for me, cause I'll put out 3 cans, and when I get home, there'll be 5 there. And then the next week, I'll put out 5, and I'll end up with 1. I don't know who I got 6 cans in my yard right now, I don't know who they belong to.
So every can will have a serial number for your home.
Is that gonna be for, recycle too?
Yes, every can has a serial number right to your home, so if you find it, you can call them in Michigan Waste, say, hey, I've got so-and-so's, and they'll know exactly which house to take it to.
Can I make one more comment on the police? We talked about this before, anybody that knows, I'm all for having a police officer in the school system. I'm all for taking the office out of here and putting it right up in the school. I know we gotta have the partnership with the school, but if, everybody's always looking to have them pay. But when Julie walks through, or the other officers, and they say, hey, how's it going, Matt? And he doesn't go home and kill himself.
Right.
Or she goes and sits at the office, or at the table at the lunchroom and sits with the girls, and the next week, the one girl comes in and talks to her about getting molested. You know, you can't quantify the crimes that don't happen, and the things that don't happen, the kids that don't commit suicide, the ones that are not breaking and entering, but it's all because they're walking around with them and talking to them. So I'm all for having them in school. Take this office that we're already paying for, stick it right up at the school system, and have them, when they're not doing stuff, do the paperwork.
I think
at
the
school.
county cleared out of theirs, right?
What's that?
The county was up there, did they clear out?
Yeah.
It's a feasible
I
option.
agree, yeah.
I
it's a
believe
great
Officer
idea.
Ott is right in the administration
Yeah.
office, has their own office there,
Yeah,
so.
it's a win-win for everybody. We're still paying it, they're not, but who cares? It's an open office, you know?
Why did the county clear out?
I don't know. It cleared out before I got here.
I just
Cars
want it cleared
still
out
sitting up
here.
there.
The cars are still,
Yeah,
they're still at high school.
They stop every now and again.
Yeah, they have a hub there, so, but they're not, they don't work out of that office. It's a hub, it's a place to leave
Cleared
vehicles,
everywhere,
and
we there.
it's associated, with the, community center, not actually the school. So that you guys understand there's a little bit of difference, but, and that's just, changes in the counties, and we're gonna see that more, law enforcement, and having them available and having them close is, it's just gonna change, so, and that'll just be part of that. They've got a hub where they leave vehicles.
I got one last thing. The gentleman you just hired,
Oh, yeah, Scott Diffin?
he's not here, obviously.
No.
Well, somebody brought it to my attention, because we've been hiring, how many more people we're gonna hire? They say that somebody come up to me and approached me and asked me these benefits. I mean, they think these benefits are very extravagant, and then the pensions, I mean, how long is this gonna go on? If you try to match it to other companies, you know, let's get in line with some of these other communities, see what they do. I don't think some of these people even get any kind of pensions anyway. Everybody's doing 401k or whatever. I think we need to be in line, because we're starting hiring all these other people, we're promising them all these pensions and that, are we gonna be able to step up to it?
Excellent question. The pensions we're paying are from the past. We've already closed the pension system. That is the one that is super costly, the B4 and the B2 pension. We are in the C1 now with the 1.5 multiplier. That said, you can't change out of the defined contribution until you're 100% funded. They do let you opt out at 90% funded. We're only at 75. So until we get to 90 to 100, we really can't close that system to move to the 401k, but that is the plan in 2035, actually 2034. We should be 100% funded. As far as Scott Diffin, we did fire an employee, and he replaced the fired employee. And Tyler, as was spoken to in the previous meeting, and he is Tito's replacement. Tito's retiring at the end of this water project.
Well, that's what we were wondering, if you would like to replace him. I know a couple of years now, Don's.
Nope, I'm gonna go much younger when Don's gone. And that'll save on pensions.
Just remember, the reason you're paying an unfunded balance on the pensions is because administrations 30, 40 years ago voted themselves raises, better benefits, and a better pension, and then they cut it off, and when they retire, we're paying for it. We're paying for those promises. So remember that, when you stop paying pensions, that money's gotta come in the future, some generation's gotta pay that in. Right now, it's us. We're paying the unfunded balance for people that retired when there's not enough people paying in. That's what that is.
Hey, wait a minute. You're paying my pension, but I had no say in it.
Well,
Just so you know.
Right, but that's what the unfunded balance is, because there's not enough people paying in to make up the promises that were made when they were getting the pension.
I know, but with the benefits and all that, I mean, it's been said that St. Charles has some pretty good benefits here, that's why people wanna come here, so. I mean, we just need to get in line with everybody else, so we don't feel like we're being.
Yeah. When I was at Shiawassee County, we were 24 million unfunded in our pension liabilities. I brought it up then to cap them then. I got 3% out of every employee. Actually, the average then was 3% contribution from every employee. I got 1% out of AFSCME, the Teamsters, the judges their employees had their own unions. I bargained with 17 different unions and got for 1%. They are now over 64 million unfunded because they wouldn't take the suggestions that I made. My master's thesis was on pension systems and how to close them and correct them to the point where you are solvent, to the point where you can switch to the 401k. I'd be happy to share it with you. It's about 52 pages. I got a B, I think. Not happy about that. I defended it, but I do know a little about pensions, and I understand your complaints, and I railed against them for a long time.
The way we're doing it now is the correct one. We're paying in extra to get that unfunded balance taken care of.
From 59 to 75 in
We're
3
doing
years,
awesome on that.
while everybody else is doing this to the state.
It sucks, but.
And their population's over again 20,000. We're under the 10,000 that they cut in their appropriations. But if they do open it up, I'll put my hand out.
I just, real quick, I don't mean to interrupt, but I just want to, obviously, Chief Church, I want to say personally thank you. I know you and I created a relationship over some pretty traumatic things that happened in my family. And you've been there with my kids, and you've been there with all the kids. And the kids in the school have become my family. I'm very active in the school. But it's been, before, and I won't lie, I mean, I don't live in the village, I live in St. Charles, and we've been here for 14 years, my kids have been in the school system now. And I didn't realize that we actually had a police department. And I knew we had a police officer that was in town once in a while, but I didn't even know we had a police department. But the things that you've done in this school and in this community for not just my family, Val, when she lost her daughter, I'll just speak for her. There's been a lot. I know I'm not the only one. I know you've stepped in so many homes. You've saved lives. You've done CPR. You have held a hand. You've had the conversations. You've been walking in when someone's trying to commit suicide. All these things and how you've changed the community. Personally, from me, from Val, and our families, and I'm sure there's many more, thank you. You stepped in. We didn't have a chief. You stepped in and took an interim chief position and still stayed there for 3 years. And I think you did a lot. And I wanted to personally be here and say thank you for that and thank you for everything, because it's been a lot. So that's all.
St. Charles United Methodist Church, and, I don't, for whatever reason, she has stepped down. She will absolutely be missed. She has made herself known. I mean, everybody knows who Julie is. A few years back, in St. Charles, I don't know who was even the police officer. I didn't even know their names. She has been so involved in the community that I believe everybody knows her by name, and she has done an awesome job. I really hate to see her step down for whatever reason she has. I wanna thank her, and I'm honored to have worked with you, Julie.
Anybody else?
Don't cry.
Get a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed?